So late last night I scrolled through Reddit and I saw a video by the late Iranian Supreme Leader. I don't know how it's pronounced, but Ali Khamenei. Back in 2019, he actually defined the slogan of death to America for the modern world. And I don't think this video of him actually stating what it means ever got the chance to be seen by the majority of people. I haven't seen it before this random Reddit post that I came across. But he basically said that death to America will be used as long as the wickedness continues, and he explicitly clarified that it wasn't directed at the American people, but at the leaders at Trump, John Bolton and Mike Pompeo. Here's the clip.
اولا بنده این رو برای حضرات بزرگان آمریکایی روشن کنم. مرگ بر آمریکا یعنی مرگ بر ترامپ و جان بولتون و پومپئو. مرگ بر اینا یعنی مرگ بر سردمداران. ما به مردم آمریکا کاری نداریم. مرگ بر آمریکا یعنی مرگ بر شما چند تایی که اون گروهی که دارید اداره میکنید کشورتون رو. مراد اینه. حالا در این دوره اینان، در دوره دیگر هم دیگران. بحث ملت آمریکا نیست. ثانیاً تا وقتی که دولت آمریکا و رژیم آمریکا همین شرارت، همین دخالت، همین خباثت، همین رذالت رو در اعمال خودش داره، این مرگ بر آمریکا از دهان ملت ایران نخواهد افتاد.
So for almost 2 weeks now, the sky over Iran hasn't been blue, it has been grey and pulverized with concrete. And we are told by the current American administration that this war was inevitable, that a nation chanting death to America for 40 years finally forced their hand, basically.
Easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel.
Now, I'm no expert, but I don't think you should be either, to just be able to look at this and say this wasn't an inevitable war, basically. It seems to me that it was a manufactured one, built on the back of deliberate mistranslation and basically a 30-year lie. So when people hear the slogan, death to America, they see a threat. But to understand why it exists, you have to look at the original sin that the US, basically from 1953, and back then Iran had a burgeoning democracy and a prime minister named Mohammad Mossadegh. He committed the ultimate crime in the eyes of the West. He wanted Iran's oil to belong to Iranians and not British corporations. And in response, the CIA and MI6 launched Operation Ajax. They didn't use bombs back then. They used bribes, staged riots, and propaganda to overthrow a popular leader and install a king, the Shah. And for 25 years, the US backed the Shah's secret police, the SAVAK, and they tortured and disappeared anyone who basically wanted their democracy back. And when the 1979 revolution finally kicked in and kicked the Shah out, death to America wasn't a random chant. It was a response to 25 years of living under a puppet regime. But the real wickedness that has led to this war started basically with a broken promise, in my opinion. So in 2015, the world signed the JCPOA Act, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And this was the so-called nuclear deal. It was a simple trade. Iran would dismantle its nuclear infrastructure, pour concrete into its reactors, and allow 24/7 international inspection. In exchange, the US and Europe would lift the sanctions that were starving their economy. And for 3 years, every international monitor confirmed Iran was following the rules. Then in 2018, Trump walked away from the deal. He basically tore up the deal and reimposed maximum pressure sanctions and effectively told the Iranian people that diplomacy with Washington is a trap.
در مورد آمریکا من از 2-3 سال پیش که این بحث‌های مذاکرات مربوط هسته‌ای برقرار بود، دائما هم خصوصی به مسئولین میگفتم، هم در جلسات عمومی در سخنرانی ها مکرر گفتم من اعتمادی ندارم به اینا اعتماد نکنید، به اینا اطمینان، به حرفشون، به قولشون، به امضاشون، به لبخندشون اعتماد نکنید، اینا مورد اعتماد نیستن. خب حالا نتیجه این شده که مسئولینی که اون روز مذاکره میکردن خودشون امروز دارن میگن آمریکا غیر قابل اعتماده. از اول بایستی این غیر قابل اعتماد بودن رو تشخیص میدادن، حرکت میکردن. امروز هم دارم راجع به اروپا میگم غیر قابل اعتمادن. نمیگم درباره مسائل مورد ابتلا و اینها ارتباط نداشته باشید. نه، بالاخره ما دولتی هستیم، حکومتی هستیم، الحمدلله مقتدریم، توانایی داریم.
In other words, if you burn the bridge of peace, you don't get to act shocked when the other side starts building walls. And for 34 years, we've heard the same alarm. Since 1992, the Israeli government has been telling the world that Iran is weeks away from a nuclear bomb.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been saying this for more than 30 years, claiming Iran is close to having
nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. Atomic bombs.
In 1992, as a member of parliament, Netanyahu addresses the Knesset. He says, within 3 to 5 years, we can assume that Iran will become autonomous in its ability to develop and produce a nuclear bomb. 3 years later, in his book Fighting Terrorism, he repeats the same time frame, 3 to 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Fast forward to 2002. Netanyahu testifies before a U.S. congressional committee actively calling for the invasion of Iraq.
Are there any other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon at this point?
The two nations that are vying, competing with each other, who will be the first to achieve nuclear weapons, is Iraq and Iran.
The invasion happens months later. No weapons of mass destruction are found in Iraq. This is a fragment of a 2009 US State Department cable released by WikiLeaks. Netanyahu tells members of Congress that Iran is 1 or 2 years away from being capable of developing nuclear weapons.
They're online.
It's 2012, and Netanyahu is holding up his infamous cartoon bomb at the UN General Assembly.
By next spring, at most by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb.
And now, 33 years after Netanyahu's first so-called imminent warning, Israel attacks Iran.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
That's despite the US Director of National Intelligence saying Iran isn't building a nuclear weapon months earlier.
Iran lied.
But for Netanyahu,
Big time.
the slogan has been the same.
It's now 2026 and the IAEA, basically the UN's nuclear watchdog, still hasn't found a single thread of proof that the weapon ever existed. We're basically destroying a civilization based on a maybe that has been proven wrong for 3 decades now. Death to America was basically a political slogan aimed against the government, and it was later aimed at Donald Trump. But today, after the blood in the classroom of Minab and the continuity of the blood in this war, that chant might have changed forever. Trump claimed he was stopping a threat, but in my opinion, all he did was make the slogan literal. He changed the slogan from being a threat towards him to being a threat towards the entirety of the American people.